Hey, what's up? It's me, aswell.
And I'm Raisa, and welcome back to another amazing Facebook Live. And today we have a very special guest that we are going to introduce a very important conversation. And Ali, what is that conversation?
This conversation, it may offend some people, but that's not the intention of it. This conversation is really to stir up what's been going on in the media, what society's been saying. So today we're going to be talking about beauty standards, and this is officially day 3 of Youth Week. Wow.
That means we are featuring youth every single day for the week. And today we have a community helper who is super involved, and her name is Kaisha.
Woo!
Hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's pretty outside, so I feel like when the weather is nice, I feel nice.
I love that. You got like a really nice glow going on too.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm outside because the lighting in my house is not the best right now, so I just had to go like right by the window.
Hello.
Hello, Shaniza says hello. So Kaisha, we have some fans here that are also going to interact with you.
First question.
Yeah, first question. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Kaisha. I'm 17 years old. I'm in grade 12, finishing up my last year on high school on Zoom. And I do a lot of like community work with my church. I'm involved in the coffee ministry and nursery. And then on Tuesday nights, I help out with kids. It's basically like nursery, but a little bit older. So like ages like 4 to like 10 years old, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
yeah,
you work with, pardon me?
No, I was just saying, so yeah, I do a lot of like work with my church.
Very nice. So you do get to work with like a lot of kids and kind of see like what their perspectives are and what they're going through.
Yes. And we have youth on Wednesday nights, and sometimes the youth leaders, they have to be over 18, but sometimes we'll switch groups. And since we're in grades, the grade 12s are getting a little older, sometimes we'll be allowed to like be with the grade 8 boys and hear their perspectives on certain things. So recently we've been doing that before this whole quarantine thing happened, which was really interesting and really like cool to just see that like how they feel about certain things, you know?
Mm-hmm, perfect. Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about beauty standards. So can you tell us not exactly, but can you tell us what you think society's kind of classifies as beauty standards?
For sure. I think that it's changing. I feel like from before it was like even right now it's still like the European beauty standards. So long hair, light eyes, light skin, thin nose, but like skinny. But I feel like right now we're kind of like in like the whole like slim thick era of like you have to have like a flat stomach but a big bum and like curly hair. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a little bit different, but it's still kind of the same at the same time.
So we're kind of moving away from more of, I'm going to put it in quotations, like kind of models, because like now even there's different, everything's changing in each industry and category. But originally it was like what you're saying with the European, like the model had to be that. So we're moving away to that, to more of the slim, thick. That's what you're kind of saying here now.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know too much about the model industry right now, but I'm pretty sure it's still like, well, I mean, if you look at magazines and if you look at like Vogue or whatever, you still see like that beauty standard. But now we're kind of being more inclusive of plus size women being on. It's still not enough, but like we're getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
But for sure, yeah. Right now.
Yeah, Anissa says a lot of companies are starting to cater to diverse groups. They see the demand. So as these companies, and she gave us some examples. Thank you, Anissa. She says
Fenty for sure.
Huda Beauty, Live Tinted. Sorry. Do you use any of these companies? I don't. So.
I don't wear makeup, but I do like Fenty lip gloss, and I feel like Fenty. Just to talk about that real quick, it was just such a movement, just because there was so many shades, and it's really hard for like even like women like that are darker than myself to find shades in their tone, because a lot of like makeup brands will just be like, okay, so we'll do light skin, brown skin, dark skin. It's like there's so many more like skin shades. So it was, yeah, for sure. especially Fenty.
And speaking of social media movements, how has the media manipulated that message of beauty standards, either positive or negative?
I would say, how's the media? Yeah, Fenty is really inclusive. Yeah. Can you read the question again? Sorry.
No problem. How has media manipulated the message of beauty standards in a positive and negative way?
In a positive way, I would say a lot of Instagram influencers now are kind of like being more vulnerable about, hey, like, I don't actually look like this. Like, this is just touch up on magazines and stuff like that. Like, even like Madison Beer like has said that before, and even like a lot of women are now like being vulnerable, like just showing their stretch marks and so, like, you know what I mean. So I feel like that just people on Instagram just being open and raw and honest and letting people know, like, yo, it's okay to not look like only one thing. But in a negative way, I would say in the music we listen to, I say a lot on TikTok, there's a lot of like skinny shaming and fat shaming. And I feel like even with what's it called when you get like a nose job? What's it called? Plastic surgery. Plastic surgery. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with changing your body, but I feel like right now on Instagram, it's like you have to change it if you don't look like this, because if you don't look like this, then you're not considered beautiful. And I don't really agree. I don't feel like you have to do that to be beautiful. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We actually have a question from Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. Ali, would you like to read it?
Sure. Do you feel that men are pressured to fit into a certain physical category as well?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Even through commercials, you'll see like the cologne commercials, the guy always has abs and he always has like big arms. Like, that's what makes him manly. That's what makes him, like, if you use this cologne, if you use this deodorant, you will look like this. And it's like, that's not true. You will smell good, but you might not necessarily look like that. And that's okay.
It's better to smell good than look good.
Yeah, because if you don't smell good, people are gonna, not really want to look at you anyway. So I'd say, yeah, for sure. I feel like men have to feel like they have to look. Even there's like a TikTok trend of like girls like making fun of like really, really skinny guys. I don't know if you guys have seen it on your For You page.
We haven't. No, I think that's maybe just going back to TikTok. Would you agree that it started out as a positive thing and then kind of turned into where there's a lot of fat shaming, skinny shaming, and not a lot of body positivity?
For sure. I had to start. There's this thing that you can do when you tap it, and then you can like press like uninterested. I've had to do like 10 times. There's so much skinny shaming. There's a lot of even people like show, those diets when like, I forget the exact name, but it's like, okay, I ate like a slice of an apple this morning, and then I drank like half a cup of milk for lunch and dinner, and like that's it. And like that's not healthy, like, to lose weight. And I feel like there's a lot of young girls on TikTok. So if you're seeing that and you're seeing, okay, if this is how I get skinny, then this is what it's gonna impact you, especially because we're at home now and that's all you're seeing. It's gonna definitely take a toll on your mental health.
Mm-hmm. And since you work with a lot of youth, young girls and boys, do you see social media influencing their lives according to beauty standards?
1,000%. I feel like a lot of people, even something that I actually had to do was follow people that look like me. And what I mean by that is, like, if you follow people that aren't like a replica of what you look like, sometimes you follow a lot of people, you're gonna start feeling like, okay, this person is more beautiful than they're prettier or whatever because they look like this. So I would say definitely Instagram models, just, I don't know. And it affects guys too, because it's like, okay, if my girl doesn't look like this, I don't want her. And I feel like there's a whole, like, you only respect women that look a certain way. and then some guys may feel like, okay, I can only show respect to women that look like this, only look like the Instagram models or the woman I'm seeing in the music videos, or like the famous girls on TikTok. Everyone looks a certain way that's like,
Yeah.
that.
And speaking of TikTok, Alicia has another question. Thank you so much. Would you say that TikTok has any positive influence on youth today, or do you feel that it's majorly toxic? That's a good question.
That's a really good question. I feel like it does. It is positive, because it is bringing a lot of like positive. It's really funny, and I think that like during this time we do need laughter. Because people are going through so much right now. Parents are losing their jobs, families and friends are dying, and you know what I mean. So I feel like it is bringing a lot of positivity, but I feel like right now it's just 60-40. 60% negative, 40%. I don't know. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of colorism on TikTok actually too. So
So Anissa says TikTok provides a plot.
Sorry, we can read it together.
No,
You can
no.
read it.
Anissa said TikTok provides a platform for people to share and connect. Well, exactly.
Sure.
Like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, they all do that. But right now, like you were saying, I feel like social media in general is really turning to a 60-40, which is like major toxic and 40% like okay.
Yeah,
For sure. There's a lot of positivity on it.
Sorry, I just want to not to cut you off. I wanted to backtrack to the music industry, for example. So you have a lot of singers talking about a certain body type, for example. Would you say how would you, like, what's your message to singers right now when they only define one body type, or like you said,
The majority.
Yeah, or like
the majority. Yeah.
the majority, or for example, you said how it affects men and how they view women, because they're hearing like, okay, we only need to like one type of woman. What message would you give?
I would say in a lot of rap music, whenever they're describing like a beautiful woman or like a baddie, it's always one type of girl. It's always big butt, flat stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like when young girls and young guys are listening to this, they're gonna be like, okay, like that's what I need to look like. I have to look like this because this person said so. You know what I mean? And they have a high influence. But I mean, like, I don't know, because music is a way to express yourself, but I would just say it's impacting people more than you know. Maybe, I don't know. It's a really good question. Because if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, but like, how is this affecting people? Is it positive, negative? I don't know.
Well, I think that kind of goes on to our next question. Ali, would you like to do that next question?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Sure, thank you. So the next question is, what kind of representation of beauty standards would you like to see in the media?
I would say more women of color, and I don't only mean like Black women. I mean like South Asian women, Hispanic women, Eastern Asian women, Indigenous women, Arab women. I feel like there's not a lot of women of color in the media, and I think that when there is, or when a woman of color is like writing an article or gets like the chances to like speak about something, it's always about her experience as a woman of color. It can never just be like, no, this is my experience as a woman. You know what I mean? They always have to categorize it. And I don't feel like that's fair. Like sometimes you just want to be like, no, this is my experience, blah 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 blah. But it's always like, okay, no, but as a woman of color, da 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 da. It's kind of like they're always asking like one person to speak on an entire race. But I would say that for like magazines and even in television, for the past, I would say like, what's the TV show? Fresh Off the Boat. That wasn't that like one of the first TV shows with an Asian family.
I think so, actually.
I'm not too sure.
An Asian family, yeah. And and then there's another show, I think it's called Life After You Know It, but I'm not entirely sure. And it's with a Hispanic family. so that we're slowly, gradually, like being like, no, like there's more, like not everyone is Caucasian, like there's more, you know what I mean? Like, so I would just feel like, yeah, more people of color for sure.
Yeah, Ali just, you brought up some really good points there that I want to touch on as well. And Ali was saying the new Netflix show as well, how Fresh Off the Boat was one of the first ones. Never Have I Ever, produced by Mindy Kaling. She played in The Office. That's another with like an almost all brown South Asian cast, right?
Yeah,
So,
I've been seeing.
So Anissa Hussein says, Lana says, hi, Sissy and Ali, I love your lives. Thank you, Lana.
Thank you, Lana.
Alicia says, Ursa.
I love websites that use diverse looks and models. Most people don't look like the model in the ads, and I like shops like Dolls Kills that use unconventionally beautiful people.
Facts.
And Anissa says tokenism. I should look that up because I don't know what
Yes.
it is. But,
I was like,
you brought up a really great point about saying that one thing that we should normalize in the media is having a profession or career where you're not defined by your color. And you said having women of color, so you can be very successful, but it shouldn't be I'm successful because I'm a woman of color. I've like went through it. I don't represent the whole race. I think that's really good, because once you start to normalize those kinds of beauty standards, then you're really opening it up for younger youth who want to go into those careers and those professions, you know, as a writer, as a real estate investor, something like that.
So Anissa defined tokenism as is when you have one Black or Asian person in a show or movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes that can happen, like especially in like certain times, someone will just pick someone just to say that there's a person of color or a person of different race in this thing, so like they don't get as attacked as much. But I feel like what you're going off that, like even if you have a success as either a guy or a girl, and you're like classified as a minority race, kind of, even though you may not be. It shouldn't be that like, oh, because I'm successful in this, I'm successful because I'm like this color. It should just be say I'm successful, right? Like I've made it, I've done it. It's you, like you were just talking about. You shouldn't be classified as that colored person when you reach a success. Yeah.
For example, I think it's just like, for example, me and Ali, we don't want to be defined by, you know, oh, we're two brown kids really making it out there. We want to be like, we're two kids,
two teens who are making a difference.
Thank you, Ali.
Exactly.
Alicia says, do you feel like the term plus size model could be taken offensively when all bodies should be seen as beautiful? Or do you feel that it's just a term that can be used loosely in the industry? I love it because that is a controversial question. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Let her answer. Or do you want to just be a
So I would say, like, not to offend anybody or anything, but like if you're kind of changing over into kind of from like the original standard of beauty, I feel like right now that term is kind of being used loosely, but I feel like it's kind of a safe word for somebody to say when they kind of don't fit that like standard, which is what we're trying to like break down now. So I feel
that mold.
That mold, that's the word I was looking for. So I feel like plus side at the moment is a safe word that someone can use in an industry, but eventually when that mold was breaking, everybody's considered beautiful, but right now just plus side is a safe word, and once that mold is broken, that like destroyed, they won't need it.
I kind of like how you said it's like that safe word, you know, just like you know, being too skinny used to be like a safe word, or like thick, for example. Would you say thick is a safe word too? In the sense like how Ali was saying? I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
For sure. Yeah. You answered that really well. I feel like, I don't know.
BB says beauty comes from within. Alicia said beautifully spoken. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the last one is, how has beauty standards affected both men and women in in this today's society?
I feel like we kind of touched on that. I feel like it's kind of with the whole, it affects women with, okay, I need to look like this, blah, 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 blah. And men like, okay, my girl needs to look like this. And if she doesn't, then I don't want her. And I feel like you're really just like not, I feel like the beauty standards are just not that doable. You know what I mean? Like not, it's really hard to look like
Realistic.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like, yeah, and I feel like too with the whole respect, I feel like, okay, we only can respect or be friends with people that look like this sometimes. You might even not, you might not mean to like think like that, but implicitly you might be.
I agree with that, because also with men nowadays, like you're talking about, it not only is just like, oh yeah, sure, I can only be talking to someone like this, and then if you do talk to someone that's like outside of that mold, then you might be like criticized by fellowship. But also when it comes to men, like a certain body type and certain like heights and things, I know that's the big one that really bugs a lot of men, is like,
Yeah.
oh, a girl won't do if I'm not like tall enough
6
or
feet.
or like over, yeah, if they're not over that 6 foot line, then it's like, so just kind of destroying like everything, not necessarily everything, but taking nicking at it bit by bit and just saying like, everyone's here, just like be there. Like, why has this been implied is the question. It's like, I feel like that's a good question to really figure out. And I feel once you answer that, like, why is there a beauty standard? I feel like when you answer that, then you'll be able to find, then everything will truly be able to collapse.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, I really like how you said that. We tend to focus on how beauty standards affect the younger generation, but we forget how beauty standards have affected the older generation. And you know what they go through today, because at the end of the day, whoever you look up to that's older, they're influencing you. So it might be the media as well, but it could be somebody very close to you, and the way they see themselves affects how you can see yourself. I think it's just, I just wanted to throw that out there, because we always talk about younger generations, but we forget that those beauty standards also were attached to the older generations as well.
Well said. And Kaisha, I just want to ask you a question. So going along with beauty standards, how have you seen like diets, like keto diets, or just no carb diets, or no sugar? Like certain people do that for health benefits, but then there's also the majority, I wouldn't say majority, but there's also the few that go out there to impose that diet just so they can look that certain way. So if someone was listening to this and they did do those like keto diets and those low, no sugar, no carb, just to look a certain way, what would you say to them?
I would say, well, I don't think the keto diet is not too bad. I think I've heard, I'm not entirely like educated on that, but I would say to them, there are so many other, I would say, okay, ask yourself this: why do I want to do this? How can I benefit from this? And am I going to, is what I'm doing, am I doing this because it's for me or it's for other people? Like, is this gonna, like, by me doing this, is this gonna change the way I view myself or other people view myself?
That's well said.
Yeah. Before, I just want to touch on something that you said when Arisa, when you're talking about the older generation with beauty standards. I feel like beauty standards right now could even affect their like mindset on like even like on modesty. I was talking to a friend earlier and she was telling me that basically like, and I was reading some of you know those like Instagram questions that you can put on your Instagram stories. I was reading it and she was talking about how like when you're like in grade 8 and 7, like you start going through puberty, girls that are not as developed as you, they can wear the exact same shirt or the exact same pants or shorts or whatever, and it could look like, okay, well, if this girl's wearing it, she looks like, you know what I mean? But if you're wearing it, it's okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? And I feel like it can make girls feel like my body is sinful because of the way I'm developed. You know what I mean?
So, Alicia says me.
So I don't know if that was towards
Yes,
what
it was
Kaisha
Alicia.
was
I
saying.
didn't know
Okay.
if you wanted me to say her name or not.
Yeah.
That's why I was just like, I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. I think should we make it like just very clear and open? That was a very politically safe way to say it.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
It's not your fault. I'm just I'm trying to ask permission from our viewers. It's not to offend you, but just for clarity reasons. So if a girl has big boobs and big butts, oh my god, big butt, and she's wearing like a tank top, for example, or short shorts, versus a really skinny girl who doesn't really have that, she can get judged more for modesty versus a girl who doesn't have the big boobs or the big butt. And
yeah, and it's like, oh, you have to be ashamed of your body, and it's kind of like,
yeah,
no.
yeah, but they're wearing the exact same thing.
Exactly.
So from a guy's perspective,
Don't throw this on me.
Or Alicia, do you have any questions on that?
I completely agree.
I
So
completely agree. So,
I would say the same. Like now,
Yeah.
like going with a little bit of social media, like I've also seen that when someone does do that, people comment like, "Oh, she belongs to the streets" and stuff. Like
yeah.
really negative things that shouldn't be. I don't understand why like people have to say that. There's no need or reason to. I would sometimes say there's jealousy involved in certain times.
Mhm.
So even if like you're out there, it's okay to wear whatever. Like you shouldn't really. I would say you shouldn't really care about people's opinions. And I know that I'm throwing that out loosely. It's like, oh, it's not as easy as just saying that because,
Mhm.
like, yeah, for sure, it's out there. So you're going to be getting judged. But I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know how to like finish what I was
I feel
trying
like
to say.
you answered it pretty.
Yeah. I think it also comes with how do you define modesty itself,
Yeah.
right?
Everybody just has their own opinions and perspectives, but
To you.
not everyone should be
Mhm.
like fit into the same perspective. I think it's just going off with their own perspective and rather than trying to match it to one of your friends or
Yeah.
social medias. I think that's what I was trying to get to.
That's a good point. Alicia asked, do
That's
you
a really
feel,
good point. Yeah.
do you feel that people who are considered beautiful people are more easily targeted physically? I think so. I feel like if you fit into that beauty standard mold, then people are like watching it and being influenced, they are going to target you. They're like, "Oh, you have ABC? Yeah, you're considered a beautiful person."
So she then goes to say, "Oh,
it's okay." I think people withhold their comments on people who they don't find attractive, but those who are widely seen as attractive are easier targets on social media.
So easier to comp.
Go ahead, Kaisha.
Yeah. So could you like kind of?
No,
that's what
was like, okay, yeah.
No, I completely agree, and I feel like even too with even the way that like people like backtracking to what Alicia was saying with the whole like people that are more like developed. It's like, okay, well, if you're wearing this and if you're showing this, then you know what? You don't deserve respect. So I don't respect you. Like what you wear or how you look reflects how much respect you deserve. I feel like to her, the whole like, oh, she asked for it mindset.
Mm-hmm. And I think that mindset is
like,
also,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. That mindset also goes back to a lot of the music we listen to as well.
Good, well, that's true.
Like, oh, you asked for it because you dressed in a certain way.
So BB says, at age 16, I thought being beautiful had everything to do with physical appearance, but my husband of 30 years made me understand that not what life is all about.
That's not what life is all about.
Yeah, sorry. Losing my leg made me see beautiful from every shape and form.
Oh.
Yeah, beauty is not just on physical appearance, 1,000%.
So that actually brings up something that reminds me of just something I watched once. It was a documentary about something. And it's actually an article. and the documentary article is something, but they're talking about how in certain like different cultures and stuff, people are viewed like differently. Like beauty in certain different cultures are different. Like they're talking about how in this one culture, beauty was seen as being, I would say,
I think
more like okay, I don't.
It's like for example, in Iran, you're considered beautiful if you have like a nose job, or in one of the Asian countries, remember those neck rings? If you have a very long neck, you're considered beautiful.
Challenge and change class.
So we had the same class. Different beauty standards like that.
Yeah, it's like bigger than like skinny, right? So they were seeing like once that was there, that culture was okay, but then when they moved that person from that culture and moved them to more of the more European type of culture, they were seeing that like they then changed their perspective from that to then being the skinny, slim, thick version. So I feel like culture, social media, society, kind of where you're being influenced has a huge weight, is a major factor on what you consider to be beautiful.
Your environment.
Yeah, your environment.
Yeah, yeah. I actually have a question.
Oh, pardon me? No, sorry, go ahead.
Question. Do you know how in elementary school, not so much in high school, but a little bit, how like we would have to have like 3 fingers, 3 fingers for like camisoles or like those like shirts, and then like your shorts had to be like by your like fingertips when you did that thing. Do you think by like
I have long arms?
So people would be like, do you think by like, because like whenever people would ask, like I remember whenever we would ask like our grade 8 teacher or grade 7 teacher, they'd be like, oh, because of guys. Do you think by telling girls, okay, you have to dress like this because of guys endorses rape culture?
The last one really threw me off. I think it does, because it goes back to saying, how would you treat guys? But it's also, I feel like it's a way to conform girls to a certain mold itself. Again, to modesty, for example, and using guys as that excuse. But when you do that, it's teaching boys differently. And that's why it's like, oh my gosh, well, the guy has to do this, and the guy, and the guy, and the guy. But at the same time, it's just another way to put conformity on women and what they wear as well.
Yeah.
But with that excuse, it's so harmful to men, because now they're learning like, oh, everything's for me. And that's why it just I love
so what do you guys feel like tell their girlfriends what to wear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No. So Alicia says, do you feel that Snapchat filters can be harmful to self-esteem?
Hold on. We're going to answer that one in a minute. No, because this is related to what we're talking about right now. I think so for sure. And she said they're normalizing and allowing women to feel that they're at fault for being a girl. I think that's so true.
1,000%. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's just teaching guys that, okay, everything I do is for you. It's because, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do, it's like, no, I have to wear these long pants because I don't want you to like, want to like do something to me or whatever. And it's like, no.
But
I don't want to make you lust.
So for this one, do you feel that Snapchat filters can be harmful to self-esteem? I feel that like certain ones can harm certain people's self-esteem, because when they see someone who they feel is beautiful, like more beautiful than them, and it's like, oh, let me go put on this filter so I can look like this. And then when they put on the filter and don't look like that person, they feel hurt, because it's like, oh, I can't look like this person, so I'm not beautiful. And that's their perspective. Like, I don't feel like anyone would tell them that, maybe. Yeah. But like, it's what they're thinking about yourself. And then when you see another person doing something and you try to replicate it, and then when you don't get the same result, I feel like that will hurt your self-esteem. Mm-hmm. But not just the filters alone.
For sure.
Well said.
And prompting boys will be promoting. Yeah, sorry. Boys will be
boys. Go ahead,
boys.
Kaisha.
Oh my gosh. stupid excuse. Two things. One, I just begged that. I just realized that did you notice that like the beautiful like the Snapchat filters that we use are like they're like European beauty standards. Like your nose is thinner, your skin is lighter. A lot of them your eyes are lighter. There's even a butterfly one where we have a blue eye and a green eye and everyone's using it and it's like wow, like I'm really that is so true. It's going back to those European beauty standards. And on
it's another way of manipulation or like the really clear skin.
So
no, it's true. It's so weird too because some of those Snapchat filters are just really nice to have, and like when you take pictures, you're like, oh my god, I look good. But at the same time, it's just like when you go back to take a regular selfie, you're taking like 300 photos of one regular selfie, and it's like, well, I don't look like this filter, but how do I look good as myself without no filter?
Lighting and angle.
Yes, lighting and angle.
So for this one, I'm promoting boys will be boys as a valid excuse. So I kind of feel with that excuse and like beauty and like regulations and everything, I feel like we're always kind of men are now kind of being like what's an escape sheep for that too.
Scapegoat?
And scapegoat. That's what it is. Like an scapegoat as kind of putting that on. Yeah, I understand there's been like a lot of problems and things that maybe like be put for safety reasons or whatever to like put that there. But I feel like in certain situations you can't always be like using that as an excuse. But that's just my opinion because I feel like it's kind of just changing the way like a young child could like grow up, like young guys going through something, and then they're like these things like, oh, they have to do this because of like your testosterone and stuff. You don't know, you're uncontrollable at certain times. So I feel like, and it's kind of like bringing down certain esteems in guys too. But that's my opinion.
No, that's a good point. Like boys are being used as a scapegoat, and girls are conforming to those kinds of standards. So it's always like this two-way street.
Yeah. So Bibi says, I think it can also help you to take better care of yourself.
With the Snapchat filters. Yes, that is a very positive thing.
Yeah, that's true. So I agree with that. So I feel like this may be close to the end. Kaisha, do you have any last comments or like thoughts you want to put out to our viewers?
Messages.
A message for our viewers about beauty standards.
I would say, can I say one more thought on the boys will be boys thing and then say that? Or do you want me just to just say my...
Go ahead.
The last thing, this is like a personal story. One thing I struggled with is with going to church was like, okay, I need, like, obviously, like, there's a time and a place for everything. I'm not gonna, like, wear a bikini to church. But, like, with the whole, like, mindset of like, oh well, you don't want people to like, you don't want guys to stumble in their faith when you're wearing something or when you're wearing a certain thing. And I came to the realization with that, like, yo, that's not my responsibility. Because even telling boys at church that, okay, no, girls at church and boys at church or at youth group or whatever, okay, girls need to wear like if their butt's really big and they're wearing skinny jeans, make sure they're wearing a sweatshirt to cover it because you don't want guys to stumble or whatever. So that's just one environment. But when you go to work, when you go to McDonald's, when you go to, you know what I mean? Not every girl is going to, okay, well, I don't want you to stumble. So I have to, like, no, it's not about you. I feel like we always make it about, but yeah, my last thing to say would be you're beautiful and do not let societal norms make you feel otherwise. Way easier said than done. I would say follow people that look like you. That's a tip. Because I feel like it's a good reminder. Hey, this person, you know what I mean? They have this, they have stretch marks, they have this, they have that, blah, 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 blah. That is beautiful. Just like me, yeah.
Well said.
That was well said. Oh, second. He's hovering over the thing, so I'm just, Alicia says, yes, Kaisha. Yes, Kaisha. And that just comes down to the end of our Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a really good conversation.
Thanks for having me. I had so much fun.
No problem. I feel like we spurred a lot of ideas and really poked at people's perspectives and really bugged a lot of people, not necessarily people, but like stirred up some thoughts and in the minds. Yeah, thoughts and perspectives. So any last words, anybody? Raisa, Kaisha?
No.
Comments? Viewers?
I feel like I need to work on my diction. I feel like the words I used were like terrible. I need to read the dictionary to find better words.
No, you're good. You're good.
fine.
You're amazing. You are amazing. But this was presented by APSO.
Awesome people.
Shaping our world.
Remember, you are awesome.
And you can make the world a better place.
Bye.